Flare Network is a coin that works both in the bear market and bull market. Cat analyst over here says that what is different about Flare as opposed to other tokens is that it works in a bear or bull. It thrives on TVL, the total value locked, and doesn't rely solely on speculative hype. It means that it does not totally rely on hype. It relies on the use case, the provision of services, and the utility. The TVL is speculative value, but FLR, the coin, is infra. So Flare Network is building an entire infrastructure in the world of finance, folks, which won't be reliant upon the bear market or the bull market. Ultimately, as the total value is locked, the price ultimately is going to be going up. But I'm going to be saying one thing over here, that as far as the investments are concerned, we've seen stock market as well, folks. It is reliant on the bull and bear as well. But that does not mean that most stocks do not have value, because Amazon, if it is working behind the scenes, the fundamentals are strong, it is working. But why does the price dip even then? This is because, folks, that whenever the entire market cycles are dormant, they are not active, automatically the price falls, automatically the price dips, because even good projects, they won't be utilized as much. But obviously, folks, in comparison to a lot of different projects, Flare is totally relying on its use case, its utility. Folks, this is a really interesting video over here by When Shift Happens, how crypto became the best way to preserve your wealth. You have to watch this entire thing yourselves, 41 minutes long. This was posted by Flare Official, folks. Look at this. Everyone has been asking what comes after XRP on Flare Networks. Here's Hugo Fillion's take from the podcast. What assets do you think belong on Flare? So this is a full version over here that you can watch, 41 minutes long. But we're going to be looking at this section over here. What is Flare, and this area concerning Flare network, so that you understand it. But this is a really interesting take on things, folks, because we are talking about taxes, we're talking about politicians, we're talking about crypto and blockchain, middle class. So yeah, look at this. Motivation to erode middle class wealth, using crypto to preserve wealth. So such interesting topics. Bitcoin reaching $1 million. And then we've got housing and real estate comparison directly from an expert like Hugo Fillion. This is really interesting. So do check it out. Let's now look at what Flare is all about.
Way people relate to the economy.
You're the co-founder and CEO of Flare Network. What is Flare Network? If you had to explain it to your Uber driver.
Hey friends, today I'm going to tell you how to get a...
Absolutely. So really the first network that is a layer 1 ethereum virtual machine chain. That means it has smart contracts that integrates data directly into the network. So we have price oracles and oracles for what has happened on other networks called state oracles, and oracles for Web 2 databases that are baked into the validation of the network. So instead of using a small set of entities to get that data, we use every validator on Flare. And those validators are staked, and their power is apportioned through stake. And this effectively makes data more decentralized. We've also worked very hard on the data systems themselves, rather than just decentralization, but also how they can be used and how efficient they are. Which means we can do some really cool things without having to rely on other protocols. So for instance, so with the blockchain for data, but one of the first things we're starting with as kind of a product vertical is being able to take tokens that don't have smart contracts and really use them judiciously and wisely in DeFi. And just to give you an example, other people can do that. Of course, they haven't particularly, except with Bitcoin, and we're focusing very heavily on XRP because we think there's an opportunity there. But our data protocols allow us to do things, not just building bridges. Many people have built bridges and message passing protocols and things. But we can then very easily at the blockchain layer, we can build ways to abstract things out. So we're working on a smart account system for XRP so that you can control your transactions on Flare directly through transactions on the XRP ledger. So rather than having to go and buy Flare and bridge your XRP to Flare and then use Flare as a separate network, you can effectively just make transactions on the XRP ledger that give directions on Flare to put tokens in protocols or send a payment or whatever it is you want.
Give me a Web2 or normal world analogy for someone who has no idea about crypto, is trying to understand like what you guys do and why it's kind of important and changing the game.
Okay, so that particular account abstraction example, I'd say the first analogy that comes to my head is, people used to go and research things for days, right? Do a Google search to try and get a bunch of links and then go through the links. Now they get AI to summarize it for them and then go through the links if they're interested in it. So Flare's account abstraction for XRP effectively is a bit like that, in that we kind of do the annoying hard Google searching work for you by allowing you to make your transactions directly on the XRP ledger without having to come to Flare. A Web2 analogy for Flare itself is that kind of gets to my bigger thesis of why we've built what is effectively a hub chain. A hub chain for XRP. So we've added XRP on Flare, and at a later date we will be adding Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, possibly Stellar. We've built out a very strong DeFi ecosystem already, ready for these tokens. And I think there's value in all of these tokens which hold very large amounts of value to be able to come and be used in a single unified system. And, a good analogy for that is something like, London as a financial center, maybe, 50 years ago, being a hub between Asia, Europe, and the US. If you think of each of those geographic locations as different tokens, XRP, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, London was a place where you came to do business between the world markets. Flare will be a place where people will come to do business, DeFi, between different token markets. And that's I think the best analogy I can come up with.
It's very good. I like it. Makes it also much clearer for me. You mentioned your big focus is XRP. Why?
So, two things. There's an opportunity with XRP. So if you're building essentially a network that intends to take value, allow people to use value from lots of different chains that don't have smart contracts, well, you could start with Bitcoin. It's a fairly well-served market already with some relatively...
What's one of the biggest strengths in the XRP ecosystem that you can directly feel when you're building on and in the ecosystem?
By far and large, the community. It has a very broad community and a very engaged community. They call it the XRP army.
I was about to say the XRP army. Yeah. I recorded a podcast with Chris Larson in San Francisco, and I could feel the power of the XRP army when you post something. Everybody's going crazy.
And I have a lot of people in crypto deride the XRP army because they, have this outdated view of what XRP is and what Ripple is. When I looked at consensus protocols, the Ripple, consensus protocol is a really lovely one. The answer is, if you want better performance than Bitcoin, you have to make some sacrifices. Unless technology changes, unless there's more research. But ultimately, every chain since Bitcoin has made the same sacrifices. So it's to me, it's just like a nonsense argument. But the community is the best part of building in that area.
What's the next big ecosystem that you intend to help or work with after XRP, and why?
So I'm looking for things that add value to both XRP and to Flare, complementary assets. So, I think the logical place to start is Bitcoin. I'm not sure if it will be the next ecosystem we support, just because the engineering for it is harder, is lengthy. There's some lower hanging fruit, for instance, Litecoin or Dogecoin that might be easier. But Bitcoin is a good one. I think having XRP and Bitcoin both available in the DeFi ecosystem on Flare, together with stablecoins and all the other derivative coins and staking coins, we should discuss XRP staking. It's kind of like the biggest.
This is your brain when you're struggling.
Folks, Flare Networks is building such a wonderful ecosystem, folks. When it comes to FXRP, FDoge, FBDC, it is not just unique for the world of crypto. It is unique for the world of finance, and it is one of those interesting scenarios where maybe indeed the bull and bear market won't even matter for the demand of Flare and what it stands for. Look at this. This is a recent read, 17th October, Jeremy Coach. Key insights: FXRP's mainnet launch marked the first realization of the F assets design. So this is now real. It is getting real. Followed the deployment of USDTO in April 2025 and the F assets launch in late September. Total value locked on Flare rose by 25.2%. With FXRP and USDTO pools emerging as the network's largest liquidity centers, the $2.2 billion F Assets Incentive Program continues distributing RFLR rewards to pools. Flare's native Oracle and data verification infrastructure, FTSO, the Flare Time Series Oracle, and the Flare Data Connector continues to anchor the network's positioning as a data blockchain. So look at this, how much things it is doing, how much stuff it is doing. Working around with data, F assets, you name it. Except XRPFi has started to take shape. DEXs, example SparkDEX, BlazeSwap, and ENOS's lending protocols, example Kinetic, and institutional entrants such as Uphold and Vivo Power are contributing to early network utility and depth, setting the groundwork for a broader yield-bearing XRP economy. And this is possible with Flare's initiatives, folks. So this is what we're talking about. And Flare constantly active. Look at this. This is October 22nd. Flare protocols overview. Victor Munoz. Awesome. Okay. Everything you need to understand how XRP becomes FXRP all in one place. Whether you are minting FXRP, providing collateral, or building on F assets, this is your one-stop resource. So folks, check this out. This is latest October 19th, F Assets Flare Developer Hub. You have to check this out to understand more about what FXRP is and how does it work. Look at this, wallets like Bifrost, Luminite, etc. Make the minting process seamless, supporting both Flare and XRPL. You can find links to minting tutorials What I like about Flare is that they do not leave the investors alone. They help them constantly as to how things are working out. Anyways, folks, what do you guys think about Flare Network? Do you think that Flare Network is indeed the coin for the bull and bear markets? I would really like your opinions. Do hit the comment box below and let the community know. Anyways, guys, this was it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon if you're interested in utility coins and potential gems. And you can also support the channel by checking out Patreon by following the link in the description box below. Until next time, stay blessed and stay tuned. Thank you very much, everyone.